as you all know, the question today is no longer if Ambazonians support or want a referendum conducted to end this 7 years conflict in the territory. The question is, what kind of referendum? What kind of referendum are they looking for? And how do they get there? How do they achieve it? Should that referendum be conducted by Cameroon, or by the United Nations, or by Ambazonians? These are the different scenarios that or different people are articulating out there. And they are right to do so, because when we look at the past examples in countries where referendums have been conducted, we realize that in some cases, the people agitating, asking for independence, actually conducted the referendum. The case of Eritrea is a good one, for example. You also have the South Sudan as another example. We have so many of these cases. So the question and the debate has been, who conducts this referendum as far as the case of Ambazonia is concerned? Joining me tonight, somebody that you know so well, whom I call a true friend of Ambazonia. Ambassador Tybor Nagy has been in the forefront advocating for a free and independent Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia since he retired from his diplomatic work under the presidency of President Trump. Ambassador Nagy, it's a pleasure to have you back joining me here, sir. Good evening.
Is the sound okay?
The sound is great. It just seems that you are a little bit frozen intermittently.
Okay, very good. All right, so I would like to just make one addendum. I have not been advocating for a referendum. My advocation has always been for the rights and dignity of Southern Cameroonians and Ambazonians. The mechanism there is absolutely up to the community. I don't believe it should be any foreigners, who would be advocating for that. But if the feeling is for a referendum, then as you said, there are many, many examples in history.
Right. There are quite many, and let me take you to a number here that you probably are very much aware of, and I am here referring to the examples in the Eritrea, the examples in the Sudan. Let me look at East Timor, for example. Let me read this. The East Timor referendum was a historic event that took place in 1999, in which the people of East Timor were given the opportunity to vote on their future political status. East Timor, a former Portuguese colony, was occupied by Indonesia in 1975 and was ruled by Indonesia as a province until 1999. The referendum was proposed by the United Nations. Now, I like the emphasis here on the referendum was proposed by the United Nations, and its purpose was to determine whether the people of East Timor wanted to remain a part of Indonesia or as an autonomous province or become an independent nation. That is with the case of East Timor. Let's look at South Sudan. It said the South Sudan referendum was a historic event that took place in 2011. South Sudan was semi-autonomous region of Sudan until 2011, when it became the world's newest independent country. Now he adds, the referendum was the result of a 2005 peace agreement that ended decades of civil war between the Sudanese government and the Sudan People's Liberation Army, which represented the people of South Sudan. Ambassador, the question that I want to ask from this is this. East Timor the United Nations proposed a referendum. For the case of South Sudan, a referendum came as a result of a peace agreement reached in 2005. Where do you place Ambazonia between these two?
Yeah, that's a great question. And let's talk about just the principles behind these types of events. Because first of all, there is a principle under international law that all people have the right of self-determination. And that's contained in the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of the United Nations. And then, of course, I think we all know about the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I believe all United Nations members ascribe to that. So then, when you have a group of people who would like to have their self-determination, and they're part of another territory, referendums would usually come after a successful political or military struggle and pressure from the separatists, as we call them, or nationalist organizations will then force either the international community to advocate for a referendum, or actually, as you mentioned, Chris, a negotiation with the country that is actually controlling the territory. The cases you mentioned, they both, I think, have relevance to the case of Ambazonia. The one that I would also point you to is the case of Bougainville, which is a territory of Papua New Guinea. And that, I think, would be one that would be fairly close to the case of Ambazonia, because they've had a civil struggle. There was a peace agreement between Bougainville and the government of Papua New Guinea. Then they did have the required referendum in 2020, and 97% of the people voted for independence. And now they're in the process of trying to make that actually happen. So each of these situations is very unique, but there are a lot of factors that are very similar that go into all of these.
So, if I get your idea, because if you look at the case of Namibia, for instance, Namibia's case is quite, it came from the United Nations essentially, I guess, through advocacy. The United Nations actually secured a referendum for Namibia. Let me look at that. The Namibian referendum was a historic event that took place in 1990. The referendum was proposed by the United Nations, and its purpose was to determine whether the people of Namibia wanted to remain under South African control or become an independent nation. The vote was held on March 21, 1990, and the overwhelming majority of Namibians voted for independence. So the key word here, Ambassador, is the United Nations propose. Would that not be a good route for Ambazonia, which means Ambazonians then maybe get some godfathers who can go after the United Nations, maybe lobby the United Nations to make that proposal, considering that we have been fighting for close to 7 years now. The Republic of Cameroon rejects dialogue. The Republic of Cameroon thinks that they can kill everybody to submission. So, in the case of Ambazonia, wouldn't there be the need for the United Nations to propose such a referendum?
The key word, I actually agree with you, absolutely, is united. That is one of the reasons that I have been so adamant in encouraging the community to be united in its point of view, because to get to the point that you are mentioning right now, it is so critical for the community to advocate to the United Nations and to allies around the world, and yes, even to the government at Yaoundé, what the community wants. because I guarantee you that the government in Yaoundé would pay attention much more if the Southern Cameroonian community comes to them with a united voice. And it goes to the United Nations with a united voice. And it goes to the governments of the United States and the United Kingdom and Canada and Germany and the European Union with a united voice. That is why that is the first critical element, because before the community can take step one, it has to speak with a united voice.
We agree on that, but in the situation where you do not have a united voice, but you have the people who really need a closure to the conflict on the ground. I'm referring to the people on the ground who overwhelmingly say, you know what, we don't have to have our people being killed on a daily basis. We want a referendum. Doesn't that speak volumes? Because I guess when you talk about division, you are essentially talking about the leadership, this leadership or the leadership in the diaspora. When it comes to a referendum, it is no longer the diaspora that has a final say. It should be the people. And if the people say, we want a referendum, shouldn't that matter the most?
Absolutely, that should matter the most. But then, Chris, you get to the question, how is the voice of the people on the ground sent around the world? Right now, you know, we look around at the situation, and the voice of the people on the ground is actually the voice that is in the diaspora. Because those are the people that show up in the offices in New York. Those are the people that show up in the offices of the State Department. And, you know, they're the ones that have a lot of these media outlets. So that's the voice that the international community is hearing. These other cases that we've talked about, you know, whether it's South Sudan, whether it's Eritrea, case of Bougainville, East Timor, there was absolutely no question as to what the people really wanted. And that has been one of the detractions of the case of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, is that there has been a mixed message which has been sent around the world. And that is what has to change if the community is going to succeed.
From your personal assessment, what do you think are the chances? Let me put it this way. From your own personal assessment, what do you see the chances for a United Nations supervised referendum in Ambazonia?
Personally, I think the chances would be very good if
the people are saying this is what we want, or we want to see this happen.
If the people are saying that with one voice, and that is the voice that is heard by the entire international community, and if the point that is made is that under the current situation, the people of Ambazonia do not have their full rights, privileges, and dignity as prescribed by the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, then their chances would be good. But again, I get back to the point that everybody does pay attention to who is the messenger. So, you know, the voice has to be one voice asking for this. And that is when the voyage begins.
What about this other perspective, the idea that Cameroon will not negotiate? They just think that they will kill their way to victory. And I think you've been one of those out there who have said, there is no military solution to this conflict. So that alone, the fact that Cameroon will not want to negotiate, shouldn't that be an incentive for the United Nations to say, we can end this thing by just calling the people and telling them, go and vote, let's see where you want to belong. That's what they did in Namibia.
Yeah, but remember also that Namibia, East Timor, South Sudan, they went through a very long and extremely nasty civil war before it got to that point. The key selling point to the United Nations, to allied capitals, is the fact that the people of southern Cameroon right now are not receiving their human rights and their human dignity under their current situation. Because if it's just a matter, for example, if it's just a matter that they're not happy with the current, arrangements, but if they had the full privileges and the equality that everybody else in Cameroon had, then it would not be a very sympathetic reception. But we all know how terrible the situation is in southern Cameroon. So that is the point that needs to be sold by the community to the international audience, because that is the pole that you put your hat on.
Now, talking about that, many people have taken offense when they hear you say, hey, stop talking about this history. Stop going back. Stop looking at the behind mirrors. Begin to look from your windscreen. If you can explain a little of that, let people understand what you mean, because I think some people have really taken offense for that. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. I'm sorry if people take offense, but as I've said over and over again, I deal with reality, not with fantasy. And, we can all imagine, you and I, how we would like the ideal world to be, but we live in this world. Some people will say it's a fallen world, and, we have to deal with that. So we can have any number of conferences, and we can have brilliant academicians, because God knows the community has some brilliant academicians, give lectures on United Nations Resolution 1608 and what happened and what year and how terrible it was. But it's not going to matter one iota in the reality of this world and in moving forward. So whether or not I offend people, I'm just telling you that's the way it is. If you want someone to come in here and paint a beautiful picture and talk about unicorns and rainbows, then I'm not the right person to do that, because I'm going to tell the truth, and I'm going to describe this awful world the way it is and how you can make progress in this current world.
I guess the question then is, I not totally understand where you are coming from. I don't think I'm trying to put you here on the spot, because I get your point absolutely 200%. But for the benefit of those who just do not understand how you can stop talking about 1608 and all the articles, 1961, and think that you can gain independence. So what should they be talking about precisely?
Well, here's my question to all the wonderful, dedicated, sincere people who put everything on Resolution 1608. I asked them, so how will that be implemented? How will that matter to the future of Ambazonia? How will that be translated from the paper into actuality and reality? And I have yet to hear an answer from anybody, because they have this magical thinking that somehow somebody's going to snap their finger and the international community is going to magically make the army of the Republic disappear from Ambazonia, and they will turn over the keys to the kingdom to the Ambazonian people. And if that's what they're waiting for, then hopefully they will live to be 200 or 300 years old.
Now, we have also heard this argument between, it should not be a referendum, it ought to be a plebiscite. What difference would you give between the two?
I think that there's historical differences, and the problem with plebiscite is that I believe, and I'm not a legal expert, and I know in the community you have many legal experts, but I believe that there's a very different connotation in the English language and tradition and the French language and tradition between what a plebiscite is. In modern English and in modern political theory, plebiscite is not seen as something positive, it's seen as something negative, whereas a referendum offers more choices and is viewed much more positively. That's why if you search you have the number of referendums that you mentioned, but plebiscites not so much. But again, we're talking about terminologies, and I've said before, if there's a mechanism that will get the people of Ambazonia their rights, privileges, and dignity, I don't care what you call it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that is it. I've made a monologue here, in which I stated, hey, if you are making a journey in the car, and the car gets into an accident, and firefighters show up, and they cannot open you the door to go out, but they can open the window, but you stay in there and say, you must open the door. I can only go out by the door. You may die in there even before they open it. That is, even if they can open it. So totally agreed. But Ambassador, one thing that troubles Ambazonians is who conducts this referendum. That is, assuming there will be one. Who conducts it? Who should be in charge? Is it the people of Ambazonia, like in the case of I think South Sudan, because they already had a semi-autonomous government, or should it be the United Nations or the government of La République du Cameroon?
See, that is an excellent question, and you mentioned a number of examples. And again, if you look at the referendums, whether it's Quebec, whether it's Scotland, on and on and on, they're all different, and that has to be agreed in the negotiations preceding the referendum. Because obviously, I'm assuming that the people of Southern Cameroon would have certain suspicions if the referendum was to be conducted by the government in Yaoundé.
Correct.
So Eritrea had a provisional administration already in place, and the Ethiopians and the Eritreans both agreed that it could be conducted by the Eritreans themselves. Correct. And there were observers.
Because there was already a kind of an arrangement between them, a peace truce.
Yes, and in South Sudan, again, there was a administration, and there was an international observing mission. The Carter Center was there. Jimmy Carter himself was there. And when you had 80% of the people turn out, and it was 99% in favor of independence, I don't think that that's a question. I mean, here, practical questions are very important. Who conducts a referendum? Who gets to participate in the referendum? Is there going to be a census taken just before the referendum? What exactly are the questions that go on the referendum? And how the questions are worded is extremely, extremely important. Yeah. And then there has to be an understanding ahead of time that everybody will accept, the conclusions of the referendum. And how will the decision of the referendum be implemented? In South Sudan, for example, after the Civil War, there was a period of time that the South Sudan was given a certain amount of autonomy within the Sudanese Federation, and then they had the referendum. Or do you have the referendum and then have a little period of time? So all of these are extremely, extremely important questions that have to be agreed to, and this is where the unity of your community is so important, because people have to agree. If they're going to negotiate with the government in Yaoundé and the United Nations, they have to have one set of talking points. You can't have a delegation where you have some people say, oh, these are the questions. No, these are the questions. You know how ridiculous that looks.
Right. In the case of Namibia, we learned that after the referendum, negotiations were held. That is, after the referendum, negotiations were held between the South African government and the Namibian political parties, which resulted in the implementation of the transitional government and the drafting of a new constitution. So, in the case of Ambazonia, what about the situation? Of course, you don't have any control over this, but these are just conjectures. In the case of Ambazonia, how about the situation where the United Nations come in and say, all right, we think that the people of Ambazonia want to vote, either to stay with French Cameroon or get their own country, their own government. And then, just as a sample, then the condition is, after the vote, we will then sit down, knowing where the people want to go, like in Namibia, and draw an agreement.
Yeah, that's why, Namibia was a unique case. The United Nations was heavily involved, and there was an institution in Lusaka, Zambia, that was actually training the Namibian government in advance. So when independence came, you could transfer the whole government from Lusaka to Namibia. In the case of Ambazonia, it would depend on how the pre-negotiations went, what the terms of the negotiations would be, and how the implementation would go. That's why it would be very, very important, and I keep coming back to this, that the Southern Cameroonian community absolutely agrees ahead of time what they would like to see from the pre-referendum negotiations, because the more terms that are agreed ahead of time, the less problems there will be after the referendum.
With your experience serving as a diplomat, you've been to lots of places, witnessed quite a handful of international peace agreements. We have a situation where they call it the state actors, in this case referring to La République du Cameroun, just doesn't want to negotiate. What does it take international actors? Because we're talking here of the Swiss process, which they walked away from. They have now said they did not consult with anybody to speak on their behalf in Canada, which means at the moment there is no prospect of negotiation, mediation, peace on the table. They just believe they're going to kill till everybody surrender. With your experience, sir, what does it take people at the international community to say, enough harm has been done, is being done, let's stop this guy?
What it takes, Chris, is to have the community show up with one voice and one document, and in London and Paris and Geneva and Berlin and Brussels and Washington and Ottawa and at the United Nations, present a document and say, this is why we want a referendum, this is how we want to do it, and these are the terms, and these are the conclusions, and if the vote goes a certain way, this is the implementation plan. So put pressure on the government in Yaoundé to sit down with us so that we can negotiate this outcome. And of course, meanwhile, as you said, ground zero, what you talked about just before we started our discussion.
Boycott.
Yeah. There's pressure going on from the ground. So, at some point, the government in Yaoundé says these people are so much of a pain. We need to sit down with them and have an honest conversation. But it has to be a conversation where the people that they are speaking to also speak with one voice. Because Yaoundé, when they speak, they are united. Even we know behind the scenes that they're not, because we know that even within Biya's government, there's different voices and different thoughts. But when they come to a meeting, they speak with one voice. The Southern Cameroonian community has to also speak with one voice, or the cause is lost before it even begins.
But the average activists here in the Southern Cameroons will tell you they have knocked almost every door, including those of the United Nations, the United States, the State Department, the House of Lords, House of Commons, the UK government, the Commonwealth. Apparently, it appears as if nobody pays attention. Now, you see the war in Ukraine going on, for example. Everybody's attention, the same people, their attention is there. Few days ago, it was Sudan, and every attention was paid there. But this war has been going on in Ambazonia, going to 7 years. We have knocked doors. It doesn't appear like nobody wants to listen. I should give credit to the Congress for the different resolutions they have produced, but they didn't go far enough to get Cameroon to realize that it's a humanitarian catastrophe and the world is seeing?
Yeah, the reason it's not that no one wants to listen. The problem is people don't know who to listen to. When you're dealing with Ukraine, you're dealing with President Zelensky. If you're dealing with Sudan, you're dealing with General Burhan and General Hamedi. With Cameroon, as I think I have told you many times before, when I was assistant secretary, I had different delegations show up, each of them saying that they were the ones who represented Southern Cameroon. If you look on the internet and you look up Ambazonia, how many websites do you end up with? That's why I keep getting back to the simple point of unity, 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 because you will find people listening if the community speaks with one voice. Believe me, people in Yaoundé would pay attention if the community spoke with one voice. But as long as they can get away with the divide and rule concept, that's what they're going to do.
What if the overwhelming majority? Because I don't think we expect everybody to be speaking in one voice. It has never happened in any struggle. But what where the overwhelming majority are speaking with one voice? Take the referendum, for example. I bet you go on the ground and in the diaspora, people who have walked away and from this struggle, they came back a few weeks ago and said, this referendum idea is what will save us. Let's pursue it. So what about a situation where the overwhelming majority see the need for one message in a referendum? Doesn't that matter to the international community then?
It will absolutely matter to the international community depending on how you present that overwhelming majority. Because if you still have, voices who say that they represent Ambazonia, coming up with a different narrative or a different mechanism, then you're going to get back to the same situation you had before with the people in the State Department saying, oh my gosh, which delegation is coming now? Or the people in the Congress who are very much united, like, I am about an outcome that provides for the human rights and dignity of the Southern Cameroonian people are going to say, oh my gosh, how many delegations are we going to listen to? So, I get back to my broken record, unity, unity, unity. The more people who can sign on to the same mechanism, the better.
You have been dealing with quite a number of Ambazonian groups ever since you were under Secretary of State for Africa. And in your opinion, what is the problem between the groups? I know I am an insider, of course, you know that, but from an outsider perspective, what do you see to be the problem?
Well, I get back to the point. The problem is that you have different groups showing up to the same offices, making different points. Whereas if you had maybe an umbrella organization for the referendum, and that would be the one that would speak for the majority, like I said, with one set of talking points on one document regarding the mechanism for a proposed referendum, then I think you could get a lot more people, to listen. And I have also said before, practically speaking, and you know this in Washington, how the United States and Washington works, the community would need a lobbyist. That's how other, other causes are going forward. I had the privilege this past weekend of attending the National Day commemoration for Somaliland. Mm-hmm. And, there's such a contrast because it is one community, one point of unity. They have a representative in Washington that promotes their cause, and there's a lot of sympathy in Washington for Somaliland, and people do listen to them.
The problem, though, with Somaliland is we quoted the example of Eritrea and South Sudan. They had reached a peace agreement. The Eritreans had reached a peace agreement with Ethiopia, and the Sudanese one with South Sudan. In the case of Somaliland, they have essentially a country of their own. Why can't then the powers that be say, Somaliland, let's try a referendum so that we can formally get them cut off from Somalia? Why in their case this is not happening? Because
I believe
if you're talking about unity, speaking with one voice, Somaliland is a great example.
Yeah, Somaliland is a great example, and I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe that they've had a referendum. Their big problem, of course, is Somalia itself and the African Union. But again, I'm a true optimist with them because they are making forward steps all the time. They have what amounts to diplomatic relations with Taiwan. They have a number of other countries represented in Hargeisa. They don't call them embassies yet, but I have no doubt that they will get to the point where they will have their full international recognition because they're proving every day how an effective country, operates. But the key again is that there's a lot of sympathy in Washington for Somaliland because of the unity, because of the way they present themselves. So, the narrative really matters.
Well, we hope that we will get there, and we are doing our best to make sure that we can get there, and we hope that the referendum route will get us speaking with one voice, one message, one people. Ambassador, so grateful for your continuous encouragement to us. Please remain strong, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
You do as well. And remember, never forget, justice is on your side.
Thank you. Thank you. That is well understood.
God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Man, as you...
Thank you for staying with us. Fabrice Lena, the founder of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, Barrister Agbo Bala, says this is the end of an authoritarian regime to rule Cameroon. What is your take on this?
I agree with Barrister Agbo Bala 100%. Of course, I've made this same analysis in my political participation workshop. I said that this is the end of the start for Cameroon to enjoy constitutional democracy. We are not going to have such a group of people that will hijack the country again for such a very long time, that have pushed the citizens to the elastic limit of patience to rebuild their country. I agree with him.
Right, and before we go a little further to talk about the calls for Cameroonians to register and how important this is to the efforts to bring about change in Cameroon, Barrister Agbo Bala, speaking to The Sun, also said about the Anglophone crisis that guns have failed. Guns have failed and have destroyed us as a people, and guns will not produce the result. And he also said this, talking to the separatists, and then to government he said, government thinks it is winning the war, but far from it.
I will start with the government, of course. The government keeps deceiving itself that an internal conflict is to be won by an armed conflict against its people. So the government is challenging the very fact of protection of citizens. The government is not protecting the citizens, it's rather persecuting the citizens to become stateless citizens. And this is what has happened in the context of the Anglophone crisis. And I will agree again with him on the issue of the government thinking that it's winning the war, but it's far from it, because it's an ideological issue that can come after generations and generations to come, because it's ideological and it's embedded in history. So there are things that need to be handled with a lot of caution. And as a politician, I know and I have my own suggestions to put on the table if I have the capacity to manage this country that will resolve the root cause of the crisis and will bring appeasement to people that have suffered losses in the context of this crisis. It must be managed with effective leadership that takes into consideration the aspiration of minorities or specific people in the management and the structuring of the country. This is the birth of a new political order, where there will be no appointed governors, TOs and STOs, and there will be no such persons that will be supervising the activities of elected mayors, elected parliamentarians, and of course what they call regional councillors will be obtaining their mandate from the people by direct universal suffrage, and as such they have the capacity to manage projects within their regions.
Now, about the guns, especially the guns in the hands of civilians, which Barrister Abobala says these guns have failed. These guns have destroyed us as a people, us referring to Anglophones or Cameroonians from the northwest and southwest regions.
I think a country should not at any point in time permit for civilians to have access to gun, because it's very easy to get access to it, but to take it back, it becomes very difficult. And I agree again to say gun never helps in reality to solve problems, but aggravate them with enormous consequences that is unmeasurable. And this is what we have lived in the context of the Anglophone crisis. And I will also submit to those who think that gun is the way forward, that this is a wrong strategy, because this is going to inflict self-pain, and in the long run, no one in any part of the world is going to recognize whatever thing you are doing there. The international community is so complex that people are concerned with bigger wars than internal conflicts of a country.
Right.
They've been lying to the Anglophone. We've been robbing them, because the only purpose why we had unification in 1972 was because the French people actually discovered oil, and that oil was in the Anglophone people place, which they don't benefit of that oil at all. So we have to be honest. If we want to go forward, today is the 48th anniversary of that union, the union that wasn't really one. We have to go to our brothers and say, look, we are sorry, we apologize, we failed you, but instead of that, we are calling them terrorism. But as English people say, behavior breeds behavior. People will only behave toward you the exact way and manner you behave toward them. And that's what I was saying. Hear Anglophone people out. Sit down with them and listen to them. If you don't want them to go away, let's go back to federalism. I mean proper federalism. And stop paternalizing them, treating them like a children. So today, what are we celebrating? There's no cause for celebration. Today is this anniversary to the Southern Cameroon people is a very, very bitter one. It's very bitter one for them. It reminds them the day they were robbed, the way they were robbed of their sovereignty, the way they were lied upon, and the day they even enter into jail. And that's what it is. So you're not coming here to tell me that Happy National Day. No, it's not National Day. This is a sad day for all of us. Yes, it is for the Anglophone to start with, but it is to us as well. Because as I was saying the other day, you cannot be a human being and go freely with what's going on. The killing that are going on there. People are sleeping outside. People are sleeping in the bush in their own country. And that cannot be on. We can never allow that to happen in our country again, whatever political situation we're going to choose. But all I'm saying to any Cameroonian, French-speaking Cameroonian, listen to me now. Go on and talk to our Anglophone brother. Apologize, because we ought to apologize. They haven't done, on my watch, under my watch, they haven't done anything wrong. We failed them. We've been doing that for years. We've lied to them, we've deceived them, and we've mistreated them in their own country. You know, some people calling them Anglo-foolish. Our fellow Cameroonian. For what? Just because they speak English and we speak French? We are discriminating our own brother, our own African brother, because we happen to speak another European language and they speak another European language. Come on, man. These are our brothers and sisters. So we should reach out for them and apologize. Apologize properly. And start things again from the beginning.
and trying to sort of solve some wounds, heal some wounds. So that's the purpose. That's the purpose of my thing. So don't come here and tell me, oh, they've killed people there, they've done terrorism. What have you done to them? These people are in their own land. You go there. How did this thing start all the time? I mean, they were cooperative revendication to start with. We had solicitors, we had teachers, we had lawyers, judge, saying that, listen, we don't come here and ask us to speak French. We don't have to speak French. We are Anglophones. We speak English, for God's sake. If you want to speak French, go to Yaoundé, go to Bafoussam, go to Douala. If you come to Bamenda, if you come to Boya, you have to obey by the common law. That's our system. That's what we signed up to. October 1st, 1961. Remember, there was a prime minister in 1966, prime minister of Anglophone of Southern Cameroon at the time, called Augustin Gomjua. 1966, he saw the fraud coming, and he told Aijo, he said, listen, the federalism we are in is the mixage of two different people with two different cultures. So we don't want to be Francophones. We don't want you to be Anglophone. That's what that Prime Minister in 1966 said, I think some years before the unification, the charade of unification. So Anglophone have been saying, look, when you went to agreement in Fumban, July 1961, because before the adoption of federalism in 1961, in October, I think, prior to that, in July, they went to Fumban for agreement. The Anglophone leader who went there, Augustin Joa, Tande Muna, Jongu Foncha, they went on good faith. They told, look, Aijo is our brother. He will not lie to us. We're going to have a gentleman agreement. So whatever he said to us there, we assume that he's doing it on good faith. Because you see the Anglophone, they have something called a gentleman agreement. Something that the Francophone don't know. Because if a Francophone says good money to you, it's a bloody lie. I'm telling you, because I'm one of them. So Anglophone thought, look, Aijo is a Cameroonian. If he say A, we don't have any reason to believe that he actually meant B. But unknown to the Anglophone was that Aijo came there surrounded by his French masters, lawyers, experts, and all this. Anglophone was misled. Everything Aijo said, they say yes. They went ahead and do it. But unknown to them was the fact that on the very, very agreement they had, there was a hidden, you know, when you sign insurance, when you sign insurance document, you have to look very, very carefully because detail, they say the devil is hidden in the detail. Somebody is telling me that not to put the Francophone government in the same bag as on the Francophone people. That's true. But I have to say, it's my friend Maribel saying, is my friend Maribel. Maribel is saying that I should not put the Francophone government with the Francophone people. Yes, but what you need to know is that majority of a Francophone are ignorant, not because of their own doing. When I say they are ignorant about this historical fact, because they were taught another history. They were misled into believing into the government propaganda. So that's what I'm talking about, Francophone. I know that many of you do speak English. It's not like former generation. In fact, we've only had 2 presidents in Cameroon, and both of them never spoke English. Actually, Paul Biya, who is meant to be educated, has problem reading English. He's struggling with the English when they write things to him. So, what I'm saying,
fellow Ambazonians, Diwana Chairman Capodania. Some news dandles come for Ground Zero. Family member them for the girl where they call say Benis. They don't contact me na gewe na seamstress for Bamenda Central Market in Masade for Dubai. Na a man dan first, na a people that dan first reach out for me, na a family that dan call me say yesterday, ADF then kill you for around Bengui Road. Na boy the way they know them. I will play the video me gonna hear and I will also put out the message. But the very important thing I want to put out in a video message today na say we don't get intelligence. Say for Insa Munia, when I listen for me very carefully. For Munia, Moja, DGR boy them. They did plan for carry out attack for Insa Munia for key civilian them on the 1st of May for licensing an Ambazonian fighter the rank here. Boy, the way they receive money them for the company them for Insa Southwest they fool them and they push them, say me then declare 1 month lockdown for Insa Southwest area day. The reason I say they no say for 20th May, or we for Ambazonia, or Anglophone them. They go shit down for house for boycott 20th May because no normal man no go they celebrate 20th May. Where the people then we for Anglophone, when we can join La Republic, will not be happy with the one for separate. War they go on. So now which normal man will go celebrate 20th May. So for La Republic, for Chakara, our political agenda, the one for make me the thing look so stupid. They tear boy them, company them, where they for instance they don't pay boy them. Pamo, and then you get the one where they produce water from where to don't get them from soldier themselves. They tear and say we then declare 1 month lockdown. So that our population for instance they will talk say 1 month lockdown now which kind of thing this? How the struggle they so it go to spoil the struggle they go. And then Moja they go carry out attack on the 1st of May. Not be against Cameroon military, but they go carry a carnage for kill people them for Munia. So that we will come out and say Ambazonia so that they kill people them. The same how they be doing for inside Kambe. The one accomplish 2 things. One, they go take that image and for show Cameroon government say they need more money for their program. Now say they go to chop money. Why they go to chakara the political agenda for Ambazonia. So all man no say 20th May na natural boycott day. No man no need for can they declare 1 month lockdown. So me gonna be very careful. Now intelligent that way I want to pass for now will be very urgent. So me gonna know say these things that they go on. I'll play the video. This girl when I will see picture for here. Na Benis, where ADF done key for Bengui. They can shoot it for a house for 9 p.m. according to your family. And na video this I will play the video mona here. So my family then that they talk. So now boy they don't key for Bengui. So now the girl that na girl we in a seamstress for inside Bamenda market, then key for Bengui Road day. A man did na girl we come up for a wing. A man day for Dubai for UAE. So a family the girl be come back from family meeting. What are they be feasted they will take na money for his skin or on a way to you. Na either way and die. And I want me gonna ask Ayabacho. No man they call Ayabacho in name because they hate it personally. Me, I don't personally defend it recently. Where Cameroon the attack talks to me the attack family. When I ask Ayabacho, why have you blocked the Bengui Road for all this? Why? Are we fighting to liberate our people or we are fighting to collect money from petrol cartels? Why have you killed this woman? And I will play, some people go talk say, when they talk to me, people they attack Ayabacho and I say they attacking and infighting. No. When Ayabacho they kill our people them, then La Republican kill our people them. How we go first time for the world, the talk say La Republic kill our people them way, it shows to say we would kill our people them. You didn't neutralize our struggle. You didn't neutralize our voice. You didn't neutralize you didn't destroy the struggle. So now they get away and die, they don't take your body go to for mortuary, they talk for me where they for mortuary day. I go play another audio, me gonna know say, just like our people then cash Ako Jian, when an Ambazonian fighter Gian for Nigeria army. Those people they no be traitors them. Now the genuine Ambazonians and that for ground zero where they be bold. Yesterday on Friday, Uran here say the 4 ADF soldiers the way they kill them for inside Bamenda. Now population bring Cameroon military, even keep them for some people that come and make them hide for day. Take radar for kill that boy them. Why? Because that boy they can't catch on 1 pa, now some 1 pa a case. They don't catch that pa 3 times for 1 month. Take money, Leave papa, go to do small business. You want come for evening. Weekend, they can cash by again, take money. 3 times population talks they no go allow them. You, Ayabacho, you for abroad. You live a good life. You get PhD according to it you talk. You're supposed to know better for advise the boy them. But yet, now you and Mumu Lucas, with your murderous gangs of wicked people, when they mislead our boy them, transforming good fighters, people who join the struggle and have become desperate because they cannot go back to their family. And they are trapped in the bush. Instead for you to advise these people, you are using them for your own personal benefit. What a shame. So, I will play the audio, maybe when I hear. When I not facing people the way they don't sell out or anything. No. Now, our patriot, the way they fight this struggle, that they go against them. When I hear this voice very well, because after this one, thing I want to talk and be very important when I listen.
Yeah, good afternoon, House. I want just clarify something for some of we would call ourselves say ATF. They did work for liberation. This what they go to the ADF leader and the ADF people. How they talk say they want court funding that hate for Batibu, say they be black leg. And that fund where they name for cut their head, a funding that where they deal with boys for ground. I want the Ayabacho, say I fund this, a fund for man on this, it'll do it for you. Then I want with the result for wait away, it will do with the fund of Mancon. If not so, if I do not see anything, any person will call it says the ADF pass from my front night, the name not die. I swear to God. The fun of you will be there with the boys. For a long time, no ever do no nothing. At the end, they go burn a house. When Ayabacho, he gave the instruction. The burn a house. Fun for Guza will be there with the boy there. Neither way they threaten you for killer. Plenty fun them. Fun for Kugwe. I picking that way. Ayabacho make a the killer. Now I own fund and more see wait away. If you do. If you not do no nothing, I the one tell the people of Batibo. If una I know the see place, una see the one today, know the next thing we una fit do for una heart. No mean say mo will not find liberation. Because when they talk so una talk say no mo go join La Republic. Because some people where they don't know, they get wisdom, they get knowledge, but they don't get the wisdom. They will think say when they talk say me they shine their eye for the one. They talk say no, we'll go join La Republic. Shine our eye for the one as a move try way for liberate the country, then move Ayabacho inside map.
So the one Ambazonians and a patriot than this, where they fight for the struggle. Not be saying a person where he support La Republic. Now people where they want independence. Now they bat go people them, the people the way they go burn their palace. EY now palace that way now they invite ADF. Not be say ADF come for day. Now the fund for AY, when I remember the case I be bringing for now, the fund for AY invite ADF. The fund for Kugwe, now he bring blessing again for TTA. So these are our own people, then kill them. Pa Tanu, when a quarter head for Musang. Now he be the collect tax, liberation tax. Then go kill it, shoot it for in front of a family and a woman. So now the Batibo people then this they talk the one for Bamenda. Say if then see ADF, it pass, now then say go kill them. So if you do for ground zero, I talk one in particular for JC and senior man because the only two people in that way they mislead them and they work at take boy, they work at do the rough work. When I abandon Ayabacho. Any man where the same boy they meet and go begin take money for our people them. Any man where they support the killing of our people, the public execution of innocent people. These are innocent people. When they see murderer today in Benizat, it will not stop. Mama Wali, immaculate. All una the claims una the follow God, yet una the follow Lucifer. Ayabacho Lucifer. Muna no fee say una be free from the crime the way they commit them because now una the enable them. This one no be the thing will sign off for fight them. So now here. So at the tail una for ground zero. Any Ambazonian way it deal with ADF, where they listen for Ayabacho, they send you as Lucas and talk. Say any man will not get liberation tax, me they not letting me cross another bridge for another country. Nobody say they collect that money now for fight La Republic. Una ask on yourself, say you go do it if you be this gay family where you there for Dubai. Man where they support struggle. They don't can care a woman for Bengwe road day. You do it. All effort all the do it don't be neutralized by one man, Ayabacho, your wickedness. If you start since from the time of Seseko, maybe two way start today. So when I done here, na the reality that for ground. I go back for thing. 20 May they come, na day for boycott them. Any man where they come can talk excessive lockdown. When I go check that person in background. Any man where he want to punish our own people them during the time of war, we must deal with that person severely. No man over talk say we will go join with La Republic. Cameroon already will be a part for the Cameroon. Why that would fight for separate? Because extremism like Ayabacho, they take advantage for our anger and our aspiration for separate. Not before liberate we, but for punish we, help La Republic to achieve their goal. When La Republic carry attack for instant Cambe, key innocent people them, na Ayabacho can enable them for talk say yes na Ambazonian attack before their agenda feel work. When they talk say they go kill people them, innocent people them, blame Ambazonian fighter them, na Ayabacho they go kill them. So it work na for who? It work na for who in favor. No man nobody talk say maybe we go join La Republic. Or say maybe we will not take independence. The problem I say we will not get the independence. But we no will leave the public interest. Begin hold our people them hostage to this our dream for independence. We will get option the way if we reach for the same destination. And when we get different opinion on how to approach how we free our people them, make progress for them. The one the way they endure, the one the way na extremists, they no one for reason. Their own for begin turn for the key back our own people them where they disagree with them. For impose draconian measures where they go end up for the work with La Republic knowingly or unknowingly. Their extremism it help na La Republic, it divide na our struggle, it turn na our population against the struggle. And they know better. But now just say their soul can be corrupted with ego, with greed. Money upon money, with greed. Now it lead them to their grave. When I ran here, Le Bianca, our picking way for Bamenda, we sing that very popular song in talk. Let our people go. Those who want to say they want to fight to the last man standing. People the way they don't talk say na death or independent. Me na then die. Me then let our people then go. When I release our people them, me then take their freedom, get self-governance, it will give them where they feel get for independence. This is the right path to fight for independence. This is the only path to fight for independence. If they get plan where if you work, me then put on the table. Ayabacho, let our people go. Jomba Okoro, let our people go. Don't hold them captive to your own delusions. We are fighting for independence. We are fighting for freedom. We cannot have it by military force. La Republic cannot defeat us by military force. We cannot have independence by recognition. The only way we can have independence is the same way we left Nigeria. Through autonomy, self-governance. If we do not demand it now, we will have a total loss. They themselves, they don't talk say La Republic no give anything. We mean say they don't already admit say whatever they ask them, it no go ever come from La Republic. But we will not say if we bring the international community to put pressure for La Republic go bend. We need to count on La Republic. We count on the international community. So if they talk say La Republic no give anything, then the one independent from who? Not be the independent from Cameroon. So if you talk say Cameroon no give anything, that means say you yourself you admit and say your plan no work. But we would not talk say we'll get plan, we'll go for UN, we'll go push for an agenda for give Ambazonian their freedom. Through devolution, we go give we self-governance, or if we govern ourselves, get closer to independence. The radicals and the extremists are the problem. They are against reasoning. They pose the same problem in Ambazonia that Pol Pot, who came with the Khmer rules in Cambodia, posed to their public. Pol Pot ended up killing all teachers in Cambodia, the oldest kingdom in the world. that was bigger than the kingdom of the histories of India became the most poorest country in Asia today. Because of what? Stupid leaders with ego who wants to liberate their own people and end up taking their people far back in history that they almost lose their identity. Today, Cambodia is rebuilding themselves. Ambazonians, wise up. We must reject extremism. We must reject dullness. People with no reason. People who cannot debate because they don't have any point. Mumu, the mumus, the zamzams is our problem today. Today, now number 33 people in this way ADF done kill them this year. They ran past La République du Cameroon 10 times. Now ADF done born village this year. Now ADF done publicly execute people this year. Even the soldier the way they follow them, now ADF fight me, they left their die body me rotten for road. That one no be shame, no be curse. So man no the way the reason you go see follow Ayabacho or you go listen for ye. I never ever lie una. Now our generation this fight the war. Now our generation will take decision for free this war. Una align una self with a tenable solution, no be delusion, where you go free our people. You shall know the truth, and only that truth shall set you free. People who are liars, manipulator, distortion, misrepresenting other people are the mumus who have nothing to say, nothing to offer tangible that can move our people forward. They are the one enabling La République du Cameroon occupation. Those who come and say that freedom or death, let them die. You don't have a power to say freedom or death. You have the power because you are not the one fighting. Go and die. No soldier goes to a war on a suicide mission. You go only when your plan can succeed, believing that even if you die, those who are behind you will succeed in the mission. It's not a suicide mission. The Bible does not allow it. The Quran does not allow it. Only misguided people like Al-Qaeda, they will allow suicide mission. This is extremism. We must be moderate. We must be reasonable. We must value the life of our people. It's time for us to end this war. We have a golden opportunity. We will not allow this thing to get into a total loss scenario. Believe me, we will not, and we will succeed. Align yourself, be bold, speak. We, the People's Right Advocative Platform, we are giving a voice to the people. The voice of our people who can see the reality and fight for their freedom. God bless you now.
Cameroon, Kumba, to be precise, where one person has died in Kosala, Kumba 2 subdivision following gunshots exchanges on Monday night. Report also says others are hospitalized. Our correspondent, Misodi-Political, with some ground reports from Kumba.
This is the position where Jackson was shot after being removed from his house on Monday night by unidentified gunmen. On the night of Monday, the 29th of April 2024, Baye Jackson Egbe was removed from his house in Kosala 3, Kumba 2 subdivision, and later on shot by gunmen. When this reporter visited his house on Tuesday, the pregnant wife said he was shot few meters from the house, and only with the help of a wheelbarrow, they transported him to the Kumba Regional Hospital, where he died minutes later.
We should scatter all the moves, the tongue will never smoke. They shoot another gun again, all my run. Yeah, them about to pistol. I said, we want to kill the jail, all we kill them. We go papa for that job. Start pushing gun. The other people, they promote. The pushers will take a rush for Parliament before they get by to rush from the hospital. They know me up to 15 minutes.
The wife later narrated that Jackson was taken alongside other people. Some were freed, while others are responding to treatment after being shot.
I want to come out for inside room with picking. At the jam now to gun for door.
The Kosala 3 junction, which was the deadliest in Kumba, has witnessed relative calm for some time now, until Monday night, when the unfortunate incident claimed the life of Baye Jackson Egbe, leaving behind 3 children and his pregnant wife. Jackson was a businessman, and many people say he was loved by his family, friends, and neighbors.
Nobody has, however, claimed responsibility for the killing of Jackson. Misodi-Political, Prime News, Kumba, Cameroon.
Cameroon, Kumba, to be precise, where one person has died in Kosala, Kumba 2 subdivision, following gunshots exchanges on Monday night. Report also says others are hospitalized. Our correspondent, Misodi-Political, with on ground reports from Kumba.
This is the position where Jackson was shot after being removed from his house on Monday night by unidentified gunmen. On the night of Monday, the 29th of April 2024, Baye Jackson Egbe was removed from his house in Kosala 3, Kumba 2 subdivision, and later on shot by gunmen. When this reporter visited his house on Tuesday, the pregnant wife said he was shot few meters from the house, and only with the help of a wheelbarrow, they transported him to the Kumba Regional Hospital, where he died minutes later.
We should scatter all the moves, the tongue will let us move. It's an effect. They shoot another gun again, all my run. Yeah, them about to start saying we want to kill the jail, all we kill. We go papa for that job. Start pushing to go. They other people they promote. The pushers will take a rush for parliament before they get back to the rush from the hospital. They know me up to 15 minutes.
The wife later narrated that Jackson was taken alongside other people. Some were freed, while others are responding to treatment after being shot.
I want to come out for inside room with picking. At the jam now to gun for door.
The Kosala 3 junction, which was the deadliest in Kumba, has witnessed relative calm for some time now, until Monday night, when the unfortunate incident claimed the life of Baye Jackson Egbe, leaving behind 3 children and his pregnant wife. Jackson was a businessman, and many people say he was loved by his family, friends, and neighbors.
Nobody has, however, claimed responsibility for the killing of Jackson. Tamfo Sidwan Jimbie, Prime News, Kumba, Cameroon.
Of Cameroon, Kumba, to be precise, where one person has died in Kosala, Kumba 2 subdivision, following gunshots exchanges on Monday night. Report also says others are hospitalized.
My personal belief, very strongly, is I, can feel comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support.
Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustine Ambe. I just want to share a moment which I would like to say is historic. It looks insignificant, but it is not insignificant. It is historic. It is historic. And you may think this moment that I'm going to share with you, it's just a statement by an individual. No, it is not a statement by an individual. It's a statement by somebody who knows the significance of that statement. Because for a very, very long time, a lot of Ambazonians have requested this individual to be a little more forthcoming, to say a little stronger, to do a lot of other things. And he has basically said no, partly because he knows the importance of his statement inside or outside of office. Okay? So I want to share this statement with you. Let me do that right now.
Now, we also have to look at the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground has changed considerably over the last couple of years because the Cameroonian government has failed to make any real substantial changes that would make the Anglophone Cameroonians more supportive of the type of system that they were recommending. So unfortunately, as the situation has deteriorated, my own thinking has also moved, and my personal belief very strongly is I can feel comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support.
Okay, so that's the statement that Tybor Nagy made in an interview on last Saturday, with an outfit in La République du Cameroon. Diplomats don't make statements like that, whether in office or out of office, because they know the impact of it. And they don't make statements like that without testing them or without those statements don't come from thin air. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and this is a turning point for Ambazonians. This is a turning point for Ambazonians. That Tybor Nagy comes out and say that whatever Ambazonians want, it'll be what Ambazonians will get from him. That's, in simpler terms, what he's saying. Ambazonians should really celebrate this, because this is something which nobody with his standing has said. Okay, in fact, the statement is so significant that one of my friends who also read the statement said he will always find home in Ambazonia because of his courage. The rest of them are too chicken to offend France. The rest of them are too chicken to offend France. So that's why I'm saying that this is not a loose statement and it's not a careless statement. And I want to thank Ambassador Tybor Nagy for having the courage to say that. It is something that we Ambazonians have believed for a long time. It's something that I've been saying on this channel. We even made songs of it. Until we reach Boya, until we reach Boya, we will never, never leave a journey halfway. Oh, until we reach Boya. That's what he's saying. That I've heard your song. You've sang it many times. You've asked me questions in office at a certain time. Before he made this statement, he took some time to say that that when you are an Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, the statements you made are not your statements. You can advise, you can recommend, but it is the President of the United States and Congress that makes the policy. And the job of the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs is to implement or promote that policy, or implement and promote that policy. So but I can tell you that when they are out of office, they do not cease from being a part of, how do I put this? They do not cease from being a part of the decision making in Washington. They remain consulted. I can almost, I don't want to say 100%, but I can almost say that any decisions that any American authority is going to make about La République Cameroon or Ambazonia, Tybor Nagy will be consulted. And he's just telling you what, if he is consulted, he will say. And that is good news for Ambazonians. That is good news for Ambazonians. And like I've already said, this is probably chatter that he's sharing. So thank you, Ambassador Nagy, for supporting Ambazonia. You have always said the right things about Ambazonia. Because, and it is easy to do, because the Ambazonian cause is a just cause. And Tybor Nagy has said many, many times that the people of Ambazonia have been treated like second-class citizens. And he has worked in his role in the office to give an opportunity for the government of La République to change that, to do well by the Ambazonian people. And obviously the French have refused, and Paul Biya have implemented what he's been told. The French will pretend that Paul Biya is his own man. No, that's just pretend. I think somewhere Ambassador Nagy said that he has invited a lot of partners, only one did not attend. Yes, they have held a lot of consultative meetings at the Security Council a few years back. You remember when the United States organized that meeting a few years back? The only Western important country that did not attend was France. And so those who think it is Paul Biya treating Ambazonians the way he's treating, no. It's the French. And I think Tybor Nagy just decided that, like my friend said here, that he would speak his mind. I'd like to read that again. Now, we also have to look at the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground has changed considerably over the last couple of years because the Cameroonian government has failed to make any real substantial changes that will make the Anglophone Cameroonian more supportive of the type of system that they were recommending. So unfortunately, as the situation has deteriorated, my own thinking has also moved. And my personal belief, very strongly, is that I can comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support. Ambazonians went on the street telling their government, the government of La République, under which the French and the British decided that's where they would be suppressed and their humanity limited. They came around and said, look, we are humans, we do need some breathing space. We want to be part of you. Just let us be part of you. And they said no. They call us names, they call us Anglo-fools. They call us enemies in the house. They gave us all types of names, treated us like dogs. In fact, they call us dogs and rats. In our own land. And when we come out to have a dialogue, we're shot at. Year after year after year after year. Issue after issue after issue. And so it reached a point where we said we will accept the fight. We are not controlled by anybody. So when we decide that we will accept the fight, it means we will accept the fight with our bodies, with our souls, with our spirit, our humanity. Our humanity depends on it. And that's what we bring into the fight. And today, everybody is seeing the justness of that fight. Until we reach Boya. Until we reach Boya. Until we reach Boya. We will never, never end our journey halfway. Oh, until we reach Boya. I mean, that song has a chilling message for La République. And and our people sing it all over the place with fervor. Won't you say?
Yes, yeah. It is not only for La République. What it does to La République is that it defeats, or I don't know what adjective to use, but let me look at the international community, what it does to the international community. Mm-hmm. Because what it does to the international community is that it shows a sense of resolve and determination.
Absolutely.
In our people.
Absolutely.
Because they keep hearing us saying that this journey is not going to end until we get to Boya. So they see that resolve and then now they are responding to it. For La République, it just make them throw their hands and say, what else can we do?
Yes.
Because we have killed these people, we have raped these people, we have maimed them, we have imprisoned them, and they keep telling us that this journey is not going to end until they get to Buea.
What you just mentioned is what took place in the last 2 years. They have destroyed our economy, they've destroyed our politics, they have destroyed our culture, they have
burned our villages.
They burn over 200 villages, and we continue to sing the same song. So what does that say? That it says that until you kill all of us, and that is not possible because even Adolf Hitler could not do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a song that has an incredible, it's one that captures our determination, our aspiration in a way that I don't think any other song does.
Exactly.
My personal belief very strongly is I, can feel comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support.
Thanks for joining me, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustine Ambe. I just want to share a moment which I would like to say is historic. It looks insignificant, but it is not insignificant. It is historic. It is historic. And you may think this moment that I'm going to share with you, it's just a statement by an individual. No, it is not a statement by an individual. It's a statement by somebody who knows the significance of that statement. Because for a very, very long time, a lot of Ambazonians have requested this individual to be a little more forthcoming, to say a little stronger, to do a lot of other things. And he has basically said no, partly because he knows the importance of his statement inside or outside of office. Okay? So I want to share this statement with you. Let me do that right now.
Now, we also have to look at the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground has changed considerably over the last couple of years because the Cameroonian government has failed to make any real substantial changes that would make the Anglophone Cameroonians more supportive of the type of system that they were recommending. So unfortunately, as the situation has deteriorated, my own thinking has also moved, and my personal belief very strongly is I, can feel comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support.
Okay, so that's the statement that Tybor Nagy made in an interview on last Saturday, with an outfit in La République du Cameroon. Diplomats don't make statements like that, whether in office or out of office, because they know the impact of it. And they don't make statements like that without testing them or without those statements don't come from thin air. That's what I'm trying to say. So, and this is a turning point for Ambazonians. This is a turning point for Ambazonians. That Tybor Nagy comes out and say that whatever Ambazonians want, it'll be what Ambazonians will get from him. That's, in simpler terms, what he's saying. Ambazonians should really celebrate this, because this is something which nobody with his standing has said. Okay, in fact, the statement is so significant that one of my friends who also read the statement said he will always find home in Ambassador because of his courage. The rest of them are too chicken to offend France. The rest of them are too chicken to offend France. So that's why I'm saying that this is not a loose statement and it's not a careless statement. And I want to thank Ambassador Tybor Nagy for having the courage to say that. It is something that we Ambazonians have believed for a long time. It's something that I've been saying on this channel. We even made songs of it. Until we reach Boya, until we reach Boya, we will never, never leave a journey halfway. Oh, until we reach Boya. That's what he's saying. That I've heard your song. You've sang it many times. You've asked me questions in office at a certain time. Before he made this statement, he took some time to say that that when you are an Assistant Secretary of State for Africa, the statements you made are not your statements. You can advise, you can recommend, but it is the President of the United States and Congress that makes the policy. And the job of the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs is to implement or promote that policy, or implement and promote that policy. So but I can tell you that when they are out of office, they do not cease from being a part of, how do I put this? They do not cease from being a part of the decision making in Washington. They remain consulted. I can almost, I don't want to say 100%, but I can almost say that any decisions that any American authority is going to make about La République du Cameroon or Ambazonia, Tybor Nagy will be consulted. And he's just telling you what, if he is consulted, he will say. And that is good news for Ambazonians. That is good news for Ambazonians. And like I've already said, this is probably chatter that he's sharing. So thank you, Ambassador Nagy, for supporting Ambazonia. You have always said the right things about Ambazonia. Because, and it is easy to do, because the Ambazonian cause is a just cause. And Tybor Nagy has said many, many times that the people of Ambazonia have been treated like second-class citizens. And he has worked in his role in the office to give an opportunity for the government of La République to change that, to do well by the Ambazonian people. And obviously the French have refused, and Paul Biya have implemented what he's been told. The French will pretend that Paul Biya is his own man. No, that's just pretend. I think somewhere Ambassador Nagy said that he has invited a lot of partners, only one did not attend. Yes, they have held a lot of consultative meetings at the Security Council a few years back. You remember when the United States organized that meeting a few years back? The only Western important country that did not attend was France. And so those who think it is Paul Biya treating Ambazonians the way he's treating, no. It's the French. And I think Tybor Nagy just decided that, like my friend said here, that he would speak his mind. I'd like to read that again. Now, we also have to look at the situation on the ground. The situation on the ground has changed considerably over the last couple of years because the Cameroonian government has failed to make any real substantial changes that will make the Anglophone Cameroonian more supportive of the type of system that they were recommending. So unfortunately, as the situation has deteriorated, my own thinking has also moved. And my personal belief, very strongly, is that I can comfortably support whatever the majority of Anglophone Cameroonians support. Ambazonians went on the street telling their government, the government of La République, under which the French and the British decided that's where they would be suppressed and their humanity limited. They came around and said, look, we are humans, we do need some breathing space. We want to be part of you. Just let us be part of you. And they said no. They call us names, they call us Anglo-fools. They call us enemies in the house. They give us all types of names, treated us like dogs. In fact, they call us dogs and rats. In our own land. In our own land. And when we come out to have a dialogue, we're shot at. Year after year after year after year. Issue after issue after issue. And so it reached a point where we said we will accept the fight. We are not controlled by anybody. So when we decide that we will accept the fight, it means we will accept the fight with our bodies, with our souls, with our spirit, our humanity. Our humanity depends on it. And that's what we bring into the fight. And today, everybody is seeing the justness of that fight. Until we reach Boya. Until we reach Boya. Until we reach Boya. We will never, never.
And our journey halfway.
Oh, until we reach Boya. I mean, that song has a chilling message for La République. And and our people sing it all over the place with fervor. Won't you say?
Yes, yeah. It is not only for La République. What it does to La République is that it sends, it defeats, or I don't know what adjective to use. But let me look at the international community, what it does to the international community. Mm-hmm. Because what it does to the international community is that it shows a sense of resolve and determination.
Absolutely.
In our people.
Absolutely.
Because they keep hearing us saying that this journey is not going to end until we get to Boya. So they see that resolve and then now they are responding to it. For La République, it just make them throw their hands and say, what else can we do?
Yes.
Because we have killed these people, we have raped these people, we have maimed them, we have imprisoned them, and they keep telling us that this journey is not going to end until they get to Boya.
What you just mentioned is what took place in the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. They have destroyed our economy, they've destroyed our politics, they have destroyed our culture, they have
burned our villages.
They burned over 200 villages, and we continue to sing the same song. So what does that say? That it says that until you kill all of us, and that is not possible because even Adolf Hitler could not do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's a song that has an incredible, it's one that captures our determination, our aspiration in a way that I don't think any other song does.
Exactly.
Halfway, oh, until we reach Boya.